Hold on. Hi, everybody. It's Lori and Lawrence. Lawrence decided he was able to join me for a few, so I'm expecting John to jump in here shortly. So everybody that's in the chat and everybody who's listening as we go on, thank you for joining us. And Lawrence and I have been doing some additional investigating for kind of on the same path that we've been doing for debunking the flat earth map for the last year and the flat earth model for the last year. And Lawrence sent me a video this morning of someone who's been, I guess, systematically debunking quite a few things. So it's interesting that it's not okay that we have to deal with these debunking videos, but it is something we're going to have to deal with, because if these people can do it and we can do it, then the mainstream media can do it. So what's the video that you I think I got one of them up here. I'm gonna play it, Lawrence, and see what let me find the right screen here. It's called Flat Earth Map Comedy.
Yeah.
And
this is just basic common sense logic that, you know, people look at it and say this flat earth is rubbish, but it's all the false model that they're debunking. I mean, that big church guy that you sent me later, that was about an hour long, and it was some religious guy who's got PhDs in astronomy and all that sort of stuff, and you know, but the only thing he was debunking was the disk model. He wasn't debunking it, you know, any other models.
Okay, I'm going to play this, Lawrence, and a little bit of it anyway. The guy, it just came out today. The guy's got 42 views on it.
He's got 2 other videos as well. Pretty full screen, Laurie.
Just a second.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. I'd like to talk today about the Flat Earth Map Comedy. Now, the comedy comes from...
Can you hear it all right, Lawrence?
The map is so stupid. Yeah. And, you know, like any good comedy, there's an element of tragedy. So the tragedy is that anybody would believe it. It's, you know, I can't make sense out of that. I want to take a look at what happens on the equinox. Now, on the equinox, everywhere on Earth gets 12 hours a day and 12 hours a night. So if you're going to look at a map of the Earth showing the sunlight and the darkness, it should be equal amount of area in both places. Now, looking at this flat Earth map, it shows the sun on the equator, and that's where it should be. Now, we know that the area of a circle equals pi times the radius squared. And the diameter of this sunlight area in this drawing is equal to the radius of the total Earth. So you do a little calculations here, and you find that 1/4 of the Earth's area is lit in this model. Now, you know, you could picture the sun going around the Earth and the lit area moving around, but what I can't picture is any way to get 12 hours of daytime anywhere on the Earth in this thing. It's always going to be less. It's just not mathematically possible. Another thing is that every latitude gets a different amount of day and night. There's going to be very little in Antarctica. And as you move up north, you're going to get more and more. If you were within, you know, maybe a mile of the North Pole, it'd be pretty close to 50-50 light and dark, but probably not exactly. And I don't think it's going to be 50-50 anywhere. So this model, it really doesn't work. It doesn't model what's observed all over the world. which, to repeat what that is, on September 22, when the sun rises, it sets 12 hours later, everywhere. And this map, it's really useless. All it shows is how little thought went into it and how foolish you'd have to be to accept it. This map it's nonsense. I want to take a look at a different flat Earth map. This has got some cities on it, that's nice. And it shows New York City, which, I live pretty near there. So I started out by drawing a line from the North Pole through New York City down to the equator. And I'm going to use that as my north-south line. And as it turns out, in Colombia, the capital, Bogota, is right on the same longitude as New York City. So to make an east-west line, I'm going to draw a line perpendicular to the north-south line, tangent to the equator. Now, what I want to do here is find out where's the sun going to be at sunrise and sunset.
Lawrence, would you do me a favor, please, and mute your microphone? I can hear you. Thank you.
Okay.
As viewed from Bogota on September 22, that's the day of the equinox. Copying the east-west line and moving it to where the North Pole is, this will bisect the equator. And so now we can find out where the sun is going to rise and set. So it turns out, with this flat Earth map, the sun is going to rise at 45 degrees to the right of due north, and it's going to set 45 degrees to the west of due north. Imagine like you're on a coffee plantation on the equator near Bogota. It's September 22nd, and you want to take some pictures of the sunrise and the sunset. So you get up early, and you find the North Star. It's not easy to do because you're on the equator, and that puts the North Star right on the horizon. But, you're lucky you find the thing. And so you get all set up. You set up your camera on a tripod, you point it northeast, and you sit back. You're in Colombia, they got great coffee. So you make yourself a cup of coffee, and you hang out. You wait for the sun to come up, and uh-oh, we got a problem. The sun's not in the northeast. It's due east. You can hang around and wait till sunset. Maybe it's going to be in the northwest. No, it's in the west, due west. Well, if you're on the equator, it doesn't matter if you're in South America or Africa, Asia, everywhere it's the same. The sun rises due east, goes directly overhead, and sets due west. That's the way it works. So this map it's pretty worthless. I mean, it can't even predict where the sun's going to be. That's pretty bad. Now, it's got other problems too. I looked up when the sun is going to rise in Bogota and New York, and it rises about 5:45 in the morning. Bogota and New York, it's like within 2 minutes of each other, the sun's supposed to rise. If the sun is like a spotlight, like they say it is, the sunlight isn't even going to reach New York, never mind Bogota. And the sun is going to have to move through the sky. It's going to take 2 hours before the sun light is going to reach Bogota, according to this idea of the sun as being like a spotlight. It's completely nonsensical. Now, a somewhat more accurate way to do this would be to have a different shaped spotlight. Now, I looked to see what cities might be 180 degrees from Bogota, and it turns out Hanoi, it's almost exactly 180 degrees. So it's on the other side of the Earth. And if you look up when the sun sets in Hanoi, it sets about 10 minutes later than the sun rises in Bogota and New York City. So you could extend this north-south line all the way to to the far equator and use this as a line to divide day and night. You know, if you do this, then the side that's on the east side, that's going to be in daylight, and the west side is going to be night. This way of doing things not without its own problems, because you know you're going to need some kind of specially shaped spotlight that's going to do this, because you know you're going to have Canada in the nighttime, while the tip of South America is daytime, which is much further than Canada. So it's, you know, hey, I don't have to explain it, because I'm not defending this flat Earth model, but you know, this is a problem for these guys. Now, for me, it would be much simpler if you just had the sun like 93 million miles away from the Earth, and the Earth was a spherical globe.
So Lawrence, let's talk about this first. First of all, the guy says that you'd have to have a special shaped map or sun, or, you know, he's trying to make excuses for where the sun is, how far away it is. And at the end of the day, he's showing how much of a joke that map is. And he's doing it pretty succinctly and pretty simply. So sadly, I agree with him.
Yeah,
and I'm
me
still
too.
a flat earther.
Yeah, and that's the problem, because intelligent people, I mean, we missed it when we came in, because we saw the Earth was
Sure.
flat anyway. We didn't look at it from that angle to start with, because we didn't realize we'd been deceived with a pre-implanted false model. But this guy, he's just looked at, you know, these maps that he's been presented with, and then trying to put that into reality, and it just doesn't fit, you know.
Well,
and he
he's
explains
got-
it very well. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got quite a few videos that he's made
Yeah.
that are debunking this this whole map and model, not just the map, but the model itself. But one thing he did do just then is he did show us that the sun moves in a straight line. So you got to give him that. But the whole point of the exercise here is to show the fact that this is completely debunkable, and we're trying to help. We're not the bad guys. We're trying to say it's time to move on to a new model, and it's time to adapt a new map. And no map is better than that map. So anyone who makes fun of our introduction of a diamond-shaped map or free energy square map, well, laugh all you want, but that's somewhere in there is where it's going to end up being. And that said, I want to welcome John to the show. Hi, John.
Hey, how you doing, Lori? Lawrence, how's it going, guys?
Hi, Joe.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, so I invited you, John, to a chat, and then it kind of turned into, well, let's just do this live, because there's so many times when we have these chats and we end up saying something that we wish we would have had on film or tape or whatever. So I just started making them live and recording them just in case. And I'm glad that I am, because it was an impromptu one I did last night with the people who are gathering data and information and trying to get as many people from everywhere that they can to input photos and times and dates and locations and sun angles and compass readings and everything else, so that we can plot better from different observational points where I'm going to mute you, Lawrence, because you just can't stop making racket. God love you. So, so John, you started, introduced last week, you started showing us some introductory photos of the process of making a new model. And I wanted to continue to talk about that, but I wanted to talk to you about the process. And I also wanted to see where you're getting the data to make this model. And we do know that the map itself is the diamond map, the Collignon map, pretty soon to be known as Pac-Man map, right?
It's a good name. I like it.
Well, you know, Lawrence has got some information also that he's been shagging out of wherever he can find it of about Pac-Man itself is a science, literally.
Well, you know, from a gamer's design standpoint, Pac-Man's awesome.
There's a reason why. It took me a long time. I used to just cringe every time I would hear Mark Sargent say that line from a game designer.
That's the 13th clue.
Right, from a game designer standpoint. And now I understand that he was perhaps giving us an actual clue. And whether he even knows it or not, and whether it's one of those hide in plain sight mocking kind of clues, it will come out sooner or later. But the very first clue, the introduction to the clues that he made had a Pac-Man map in it. And of course, the first time that we showed that, everybody went crazy and poked fun and laughed at us and you know, mocked Pac-Man and so on. I've got to get new headphones. These are just absolutely torturous. And so we are undaunted. For those who don't know what undaunted means, it means we don't give a shit whether you make fun of us or not. We're going to continue where the breadcrumbs lead. And so we're continuing to seek out Pac-Man. And so, John, I would like for you, if you would please, to describe the information that you are using to assemble in the process, your model for Pac-Man Land.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Well, up to now, it's basically gone on simple observation. You know, I looked up what does the South do, what does the North do, and, you know, I discovered it's about the 23 and a half hours, give or take, you know, north and south, which is kind of interesting because you got the 23 and a half axis tilt of the polar regions, or vice versa. I'm just going with connections right now. Simple, basic connections, just to show a simple, basic modeling of what transpires from day to night, night to day. You know, there's really, literally a handful of things to deal with. The sun and the moon, the constellations, 12 or 13, whatever you want to talk about, and the two poles. And they each do their own unique things. There's also the other luminaries, the planets. Now, you know, everything that I've done up to now, you know, I've looked at the ecliptic. Ronnie's highlighted the ecliptic many times. You know, I've done my research on that. For a long time, I've been really considering the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn and that tilt angle, whether we want to look at it as a spotlight or something else. You know, I tread lightly. You know, I just go with the basics. So, you know, it's a snail's pace kind of. Well, not really. The past 2 weeks have been like on like turbocharge. A lot of developments, and it's been feeding off of itself. I think you said in your chat the other night, which I caught this morning, and it was great. It was wonderful, impromptu, to meet all those people across the planet. It was great. They got great ideas. It seems like they're, you know, as you say, undaunted in their data collection. So that's great. And I'm sure we'll talk a little later about like some of the things that they've come up with. But up till now, I've been leaving the planets out, just in this basic model. They're there, they do their own things, and it's just taking.
Which is why they call them wandering stars.
Exactly, but they themselves are also fixed in their varying locations. And they do a shift, they do their own dance, their reciprocal rhomba, if you want to remember like 6th grade math. And so they dance around. Really, I'd probably like to talk to the researchers about what opinion or data they have on these luminaries from various sides of the planet. Yeah, north and south. So, yes, right.
Well, you noticed, if you listened then, you noticed that Karen mentioned, and she's mentioned it before, which is one of the reasons why one of the early maps that came out, well, not early, but early alternative maps came out by Ned Kelly and some other people in that group. And since then, that map's sort of, I guess, been pushed to the side, but it had two either right turns or left turns, depending on which way the sun's coming from. But it showed portals in the south. I'm kind of thinking, if I can remember the map, and the sun comes up, makes a turn, and goes back down. And the minute I saw that, I was like, well, okay, you got the portals going on, but then you still have the continents laid out in the same sort of pattern as the AE map does, which we've already come to a clear understanding that placement is incorrect. So we really need to get the placement proper, which is what Lawrence did when he utilized the diamond-shaped map, the Collignon map, to lay out everything, because it was correct, it laid out properly. And so once we established that, triangulation wise, and adding in all the data that we had, times and dates, and distances on plane trips, and locations of airports and cities, and what latitudes and longitudes they were on, and how far apart they are, and how long it takes to get from A to B, and so on. That map, as much fun as people make of it, is a representation of the layout of the continents and the placement of everything so far. So, which is why you decided, I'm pretty sure, that you were going to start with that, because it did represent the data.
Well, that's correct. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, Lawrence, for finding all this out. And like I said, I've said it before, this just makes, everything seems to be falling into place nicely, with a lot of different things. We can argue about the diamond, that's a representation of like all the available space. If you want to, expand it out accordion style, to really accurately depict, you're not going to see it. You're going to see it as a sawtooth pattern, and if you want to like literally fact check it, I would say that might be, one way to understand, like, the rolling over of everything that transpires above. Yes, Lawrence, anything?
I'm muted, mate.
Oh, okay.
No, you're not. Stop it.
Oh,
You're only muted when you're clattering about the kitchen.
It's all right. Well, I was going to go to bed in a minute. It was listen. I was listening to Mark Sargent and Jeranism, and I fell asleep. And when I woke up, I thought, well, they were just prattling on about, nothing much. And I thought I saw Ronnie was on, and wow. And I thought that looks familiar, because I hadn't got the sound on, but I recognised it, and it was that Andrea Barnes story. And they got these various scientists giving their theories on flat Earth, and most people had said it was just a spoof. And I'd watched that a few times, and I thought this is a bit like the Mandela effect, because I'd seen it before, but it hadn't gelled. And this guy, let me just play what this guy said, because my ears lit up, and I had to send it straight to you. So let me just show you this this clip. Just bear with me a second, and I'll put it on.
I think I have it. I think I have it. If you'd like for me to do it, okay, go ahead.
I've got it now. Is that loud enough?
No, can't hear it at all. Maybe I should play it. Yeah, let me play it. Because I have my.
Go to 20 minutes.
Okay, 20 minutes. Let's go to 20 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not really with it.
Hold on. Let me screen share.
This is what you call an impromptu.
Well, impromptu's fine. You know, sometimes you just have to do it that way when the mood strikes and when, you know, you find something you really want to share with people.
Yeah. Most of the stuff
so
that
here we
find
go.
I ain't going to do it now.
Let me get the microphone down there. Okay, mute yourself, please, Lawrence, while I play this.
Okay.
Now, when the Earth is up here, and this is the sun, no rays, dark. The Earth is down here, daylight. When the Earth is here relative to the sun, and it's going up, sunset, into night. Reaches the top of its path, comes back down again, and sunrise.
Now, interesting things happens at the ends of the Earth. You see, when you go from on a car trip from point A to point B, you're moving through what's called space, and it takes time to get through space. But if there is space, there must also be non-space. It's kind of like saying, if there's wet, there must be dry. You can't have one without the other. It's obvious. So when you get to the end of the pizza model of the Earth, you're actually moving from space into non-space. Now you can move through non-space in no time. So it takes time to move through space, but it takes no time to move through non-space. So a lot of things are affected by this. So for example, satellites, as they cross the Earth, they will then go into this non-space region. They will instantly then be able to reappear back where they started by taking a non-space route. The moon does this, the sun does this, and stars even do this at a very, very slow rate, moving from space into non-space, and then reappearing back where they started from. This is due to the quality of reflectivity.
Lawrence, you were going to mute, please.
I did mute.
Well, apparently you didn't, because I can hear you talking and rattling. Thank you.
And complementarity that is a well-known phenomenon.
Okay, so that's the part we wanted to listen to. Did he just describe Pac-Man?
Amazing, yeah.
Non-space to space and back again instantaneously. There's no time in space and so on. So, he just
from the 1990s.
About Pac-Man, yeah. And interestingly enough, okay, Lawrence, I can unmute you now. Interestingly enough, he was talking about the circle map, I think, because that's all there has been with regards to flat Earth up to now, right? Everybody always used it.
The interesting point there is, because he was referring to the disk, a circle map, Pac-Man wouldn't be needed to that if that was possible. So why was he mentioning it?
Well, I think because if you go all the way back to Picard, I can't remember his first name, but that's the guy who went up in the first man in the stratosphere, in that little round ball thing he went up in, with a helium balloon or a hot air balloon or something. That was what he explained that he saw, was what looked like a giant circle with upturned edges, okay? Which is what we would see, because you're seeing your circle of sight, your circle of light, plus you're also seeing the atmosphere. It always does look like that. It always looks like it turns up on the edge, but that's the atmosphere that you're seeing, the blueness of the atmosphere, or the whiteness, whichever you want to call it. So it isn't that it's concave. So don't everybody call Lord Stephen Christ and say, Lori just said, okay. So the idea is that you sent me something else, Lawrence, about the science of this, reflectivity and blah, blah. What was it called? Reflectivity and complementarity.
And I hadn't heard of either of the words. They were, what was it now?
Okay, well, you put in, let me do another screen share. You put in a search and you sent the search to me. And that was, let's see if it gets a little bigger. You did a search on reflectivity and complementarity, and then added the word Pac-Man, and you heard those two words from the science guy we were just listening to, who talked about space and non-space, correct? In that video, isn't that where you got the words?
Yeah, and there's loads of scientific journals, you know, pages and pages of them, when you do the searches on them, and they're all mentioning Pac-Man. And I'm thinking, oh, what's all this? But they're very lengthy. And you've got to pay to read some of them.
Well, because I mean, there it is right there. Pac-Man. Boom. You know, Pac-Man. Boom. I mean, it's all over the place. Pac-Man. So it must be.
Yeah. Well, I've got one here in front of me. It says cortical dynamics of visual motion perception, short range and long range apparent motion, by Stephen Grossberg and Michael Rudd, April 1991. But there's loads of stuff out there, so it's a question of sifting through it and seeing which you can actually, you know, have a look at.
Okay, so
I've only scratched the surface on that, so I haven't got anything on that at the moment, apart from, you know, it's talking about time space and stuff like that. It's, you know, I'm sure there's a science out there to explain how Pac-Man actually works.
The point is, we didn't make it up, did we?
No, no.
Okay. This has been a term used in science for a long time, apparently. And so for, you know, more for you naysayers and you mockers out there, keep it up, because you know what? Not only are we undaunted, but the more fun you make of us, the more challenging it is to us to show you that we're not full of crap and we're not clowns, okay? Because we know we're not. It's like, I know that I have blue eyes and blonde hair. I mean, I know that, okay? So, and I also know I'm not a clown, and I know I'm not stupid, okay? So when we do research, we go at it from a purely open-minded perspective and just type in stuff and look and see what we find. That's actually the best kind of research to do, because if you go into it with an expected outcome or an expected, you know, search thought, then there's certainly not going to be any surprises, because the place you find the best stuff is when you go, well, you look at that, and then you follow a rabbit trail and you find something you never thought of or knew before. I mean, this is this is one of those things where, you know, we hear about the secret space program. Somebody sent me, when I first became a flat earth researcher, and I posted on my Facebook, and people, all my friends just totally make fun of me, and, you know, oh, I can't believe you're falling for this and all that stuff, right? And so this one person sent me inbox messages explaining to me that you don't know what you're talking about. Yes, the regular space program is a joke, but the secret space program, that's totally something else. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll bite. What's the secret space program? Must not be a secret if you know about it. So, you know, it was above their clearance or whatever you call it, and they couldn't describe to me what it was they're talking about, but of course they knew about it. And so this is the kind of thing that space program is probably for real. I mean, but we're not talking about space. We're not talking about outer space. We're talking about beyond space, beyond probably where we don't know we're able to go. So I don't know. Maybe they've been sending probes. You know, what was that show, that silly show that was about the Stargate? Okay. And first thing they sent through was a probe, and it went through the tunnel and came out the other side, and it was in the alternate universe and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And of
Well,
course, then they were able to send people through when they got back all the readings that, hey, it's A-OK over here, whatever. What, Lawrence?
I was just going to say, you know, this non-space thing. So let's imagine you've got the sun, and the sun passes over some imaginary boundary, and it goes from space to non-space. When it enters non-space, there is no time. So the sun can take as long as it likes to get back to the other side, because time doesn't exist there. So that's what allows it to, you know, pass seamlessly from one side to the other. And for us, because we're in time, it's simultaneous, you know, it's instantaneously. And these scientists, and there's pages and pages of this stuff, it'll take days to read through it all, but that's what you can read. These scientists are using Pac-Man terminology in their descriptions of time-space theories. So this one here, what I was saying before, I'll just read this brief thing, just to show you that they're using this terminology. It says, in this percept, a square boundary emerges between the four Pac-Man inducers. The vertical components of this boundary join together, dark with light, vertical contrast with dark, light, vertical contrast. Thus, the boundaries can form between opposite directions. And I can't read the rest because you've got to go into the main thing, but there's pages and pages of this stuff, and you do a different search, you know, just alter it slightly, and you get a whole load more stuff. And they're all using Pac-Man. Here's one, a history of molecular representation, part 2. And it's talking about Pac-Man. Click, talk, touch, think here, use interface with virtual space. A control, a basic Pac-Man-like computer. Software design as a learning development, Pac-Man. Planning for the local food system in the United States, they're talking about Pac-Man.
Well, there might be some alternate names for uses for the Pac-Man
yeah, but when they use it,
or whatever we want to call it. So all those links might
hoarding
not be.
pellets.
Yeah.
You know, and there was that. I watched a Greg Braden. If you ever watched him, he has some very interesting shows.
Yeah.
And he was talking about a sample of DNA that was split, and one was in one part of the world and one was in the other, and they stimulated this DNA, and the other part, the identical part, responded instantly when they stimulated one that was thousands of miles away, as though there was no distance between them.
Because there actually isn't any distance between them.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you know, I've been doing a lot of research for a long time, and I go places where most people won't go because they just automatically look at something and poo-poo it and go, well, this is that weird new agey stuff, or this is, you know, space stuff or whatever. But I'll go there and I'll look because my brain can detect bullshit easy enough that I'm certainly don't think I'm going to get brainwashed or confused by any new information. And so, you know, I looked into a lot of this new age stuff several years ago because I was researching the people who believe in, well, I don't even know how to describe it other than maybe I'll call them the Galactic Federation of Light kind of people. Okay. They're new age, and they believe that, you know, there are alien beings and the whole universe is going on out there. I mean, kind of Star Trek-y stuff. Okay. But they think it's for real. Yeah.
That guy
Yeah.
Bashar. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, I wanted to see, to me, it's a religion, just like any other religion. Cults have the same thought processes as those people who make a religion about something. And so, you know, I also look at other religions just to make sure that I'm not missing anything, because, you know, I was told when I was younger, you know, don't go and even look at that stuff because you're not strong enough. The devil will get inside of you and you won't be able to discern the difference. And I'm like, really? I mean, come on. And so, so anyway, I did check into a lot of Greg Braden's stuff and other existentialists. And it's very interesting, actually, if you think about prayer. Okay. Prayer should be instantaneous. Okay. I mean, if a thought happens in your head, and if you've heard of many, many, many instances of instant healing of people, of people's lives being saved, of miraculous things happening where someone says, you know, oh my God, save me. And a bullet whizzes right by somebody's head and doesn't get them. And it should have, in their mind, at least. So it all matter, I believe, whether it be virtual or real, is all connected, and everything happens in the exact same moment, connectivity wise. And it's how the whole, it's how all the universe is connected. That, what is that? Degrees of separation and all those kinds of things. I mean, there's been so many people discussing this stuff that you can't blow it out anymore, off, or whatever it is. So,
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
No, I said maybe that's the true Mandela effect.
Yeah.
It's like branching out, this fractal branching out of an idea. You know, you say that, you know, they say like you know, an idea or thought in your head. I mean, it has no mass, it has no weight. It just has electrical charge. And, you know, if you want to, I think a lot of the stuff, I'm pretty sure, like I'll just go on a ledge and say like quantum entanglement. The idea of like one particle that can be here, but it can also be here, or can have like, you know, these are the only places it can be, or whatever, and that can occur in various ways. You know, it could be a single particle, it could be a clump, it could, you know, they talk a lot about it for encryption, where, you know, the key is either with you, you know, or you plug it in and now you're connected with way over there, wherever that is.
Right.
You know, and it's like there's no time space, you know, with quantum particles. So there's that, you know, time space time. Fascinating. I want to re-listen to that old video from the 90s. That's an amazing find. The way he was describing it was, I can't imagine that he could, you know, want to use the AE map, but I don't know, maybe he's considering how that boundary wall like falls, that shields one side from the other, but I don't know. It's old, but it's fascinating still.
Yeah, and maybe he wasn't using the AE map. Maybe he was just saying the circle of Earth for, you know, whatever description he had in his head, because I didn't see any AE map as what he was using while he was talking about anything. So,
well, I've got a little theory here, straight off the top of my head, and it might be total nonsense, but thoughts are thoughts. So once the sun passes, and obviously the stars and the moon as well, once the sun passes beyond the time boundary, which is the international dateline, it has to get back to the other star. Maybe it actually goes back to the other star, but it doesn't take any time because there is no time. And as it's passing on its way back, the heat of the sun heats up the underside of the plane that we're on, because it's red hot beneath us, and that heat's got to come from somewhere, hasn't it? You know, it's not Mock Sargent's lava pumps for sure. You know, that's just ridiculous. But you know, there is. I mean, when I went on my holidays to the Canary Islands, they've got these huge shafts that go down, and the guy gets a huge jug of water, tips it down, and 20 seconds later, you've got all this steam coming up, and then you've got all these hot springs. Well, where is all this heat coming from to produce this? Because, you know, the plane of the Earth, as we know, it's been here for thousands of years. This heat's got to be coming from somewhere. So what do you think? John?
You go first, John.
Wow. Oh, thanks. Oh, the easy question, huh? Well, I mean, I'll say this. I mean, the way I'm considering the Earth is like an engine. So it's a mechanical engine. It's an electrical engine. We have a magnetic part of it all right on the surface of the Earth. And not only that, but we have thermodynamics. So thermodynamics meaning, you know, the difference between hot and cold, you know, the difference between water and ice, fractures, fissures, fracking, unfortunately. There's a lot to be explored there. I can't say, but I think, you know, we're generally in a dynamic equilibrium, but, you know, you have, you know, a range of balance points. How they occur, it's probably a mixture of all these things. But that's as far as I'll take a stab in the dark. What do you guys think of that?
Well, left my screen. You know, not everything Lawrence comes up with is immediately apparent to me. But I love that he just lets his mind think, and he is not afraid to say whatever it is that's on his mind. And I often do that. And I can say that there is something that is like a machine and biological, both at the same time going on. And I feel that because maybe we're in a matrix, but I sure feel me, okay? I know I exist, and I can get a hug from somebody, so that means they know I exist. And so, but there are mechanics going on and mechanisms going on that are beyond our ability to sense and see and all that. So, you know, when Lawrence says something like, you know, the sun may be passing underneath, they actually did show that in the movie Gods of Egypt, where the, you know, god Ra was on his big chariot up in the sky, pulling the sun with a big chain behind him. And on his path, he went to the edge. Of course, they showed the flat earth as a sort of a circle, and then they showed an edge. And when Ra pulled the sun past the edge, where did they go? They went under. Okay. So you know, yes, it's a movie, and yes, it's fictional, but we know that they cross-contaminate everything between fiction and reality all the time. So it's pretty hard to know the difference some days. But it's a good thought, Lawrence. And I definitely, before, had my own hard time with even uttering the word Pac-Man. We were actually warned not to use the word. We were told that we would be laughed at. And of course that happened. But that you have to be able to come up with terminology that people can relate to and can understand. We're not literally talking about, here, this is for you, Jaron, waka, 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 waka. We're not actually talking about that Pac-Man. We're talking about the mechanics of Pac-Man. So that will be my only mention of my boy, Jay. So,
can we play?
So Lawrence.
Yeah.
Oops, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know we have all these copyright things that everybody worries about now, but we can play short video clips as long as there's no music in it, can't we?
Yeah, I mean, copyright's copyright. You know, it's to the point now where you almost can't do anything without getting copyrighted by something. So
is there no sound on my YouTubes when I play them then?
Well, the last one wasn't, so you might want to try it again and see what happens.
Just play another one if I can get it. Okay, just a minute. You can play it in silence if need be anyway. So it's better with the music on. Okay.
All right. If you need me to play it and because it won't do right, then that's okay. I will.
Well, you
just send me the link.
Well, I want you to play this.
Oh, that's let me just say that is The Matrix. That's definitely, whether you play sound or not, that's copyright. Okay.
All right.
So
you can't play that. We
why
can't
don't
play
you
that.
just?
Well, I just did.
I don't. Well, I mean,
it's only a minute.
I played the theme song to Rock. It doesn't matter if it's a second, okay, Lawrence. It's copyright. But I played the theme song to Rocky on the Pac-Man introductory promo. So I guess if you send me the clip, I'll play it because I don't hear any sound coming from you when you turn it on.
All right. Okay. What do you want me to do? Send it to you on Facebook?
No, just put it in the chat. Open the chat in the Hangout here.
Oh, you play it then.
Okay. Okay, hold on a second there. Do you have it time stamped?
It's only a minute.
Do you have it time stamped to the place where you want it played?
Oh, it's only a minute long. Play it all.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know. Okay, screen share. My tech friend, Lawrence.
The Matrix is a system, Neil. That system is our enemy. When you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it. Were you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress? I was. Look again. Who is it? This isn't the Matrix. No. It's another training program designed to teach you one thing. If you are not one of us, you are one of them.
Yeah, so the point there, really, you know,
and that's exactly how it goes.
When everybody stopped and he's motionless, Neo and Morpheus.
Oops. Hold on, some other video started playing. Okay, yeah, I got it.
They're still moving around, so they're in space, but the other people are in non-space. You know, they're in the Matrix, but they're in non-space, and the same thing is happening with.
Lawrence, stop sharing your screen, please. Thank you.
Oh, right. I wasn't sharing it.
Yeah, you still are.
Oh,
no, you still have your screen share up there.
Hold on just a minute.
Okay, all set. All right. So, Do I get a patience award one day for a year of this? Do you think I ever will? John, do you think I'll ever get a patience award for Lawrence?
Well, you have to have patience with the patients, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
So
I
what
guess
was that?
so.
This is weird, but they make, we sometimes when you're researching things, you have these very tenuous, loose connections, and you think, well, what am I thinking about that from? But wasn't there another movie where there was a little girl in a red dress in a black and white film? Was it one of
Yeah.
Spielberg's? Who was that?
Yeah.
Spielberg.
Yeah.
Now,
Well,
Poltergeist.
you know what? Was that Poltergeist? Was that Spielberg?
Well, there was the old lady in
Black
the
and
red
white
dress. Oh, black and white. Oh.
Okay, let me do a Google search here. What are we talking about? Black and white movie.
No idea. Oh yeah, it was World War II. Yeah, Schindler's List.
Oh,
So that's what is the significance?
can you believe
of-
somebody actually searched this before? It came right up in search. Little girl in a red dress, a black and white movie. Yeah, Schindler's List.
Well, what was the significance of that?
Let's see. Trauma of girl in the red coat who became, let me look here what that says.
I've no idea what this has to do
I
with
was the
flat
girl
Earth.
in the red coat in Schindler's List and it ruined my life. I don't think that's what we're looking for. The Daily Mail. Okay, maybe we should continue.
Yeah, sorry, John, I wasn't.
Yeah, no, I just lost my train of thought myself. So, but no, quantum entanglement, something that allows particles to exist without any sort of time space. It's just it's either here or it's there, or it can be in a range of places. And just also. When you consider the sun coming around, let's say if it does the equator route, directly over the equator at the equinox, once it does that route on the other side, it's coming out, either 1 degree north of that or 1 degree south of that. And so every day, it's never coming back in the same location. It's always coming up, little bit north the next day and the next day. And, as it reaches its zenith at the tropics, and then it, bounces back down. Almost like, I don't know, like an old computer screen with the, where it's reading line by line, and, we're just seeing in slow motion, or you'd see it in a full res, mode. But yeah, it kind of looks like it's, yeah.
John, Laurie, just think about this, right? You're in the United States and I'm in the UK. And we're the best part of 5,000 miles apart, but the communication is instant. So you think about the process that my voice has to go down to get to you. There's no time involved, is there? It's just instant.
It is instant, and that's, they tell us that it's
How does that
because of
work?
fiber optic cable, and which is made out of, what is it, glass or something? I mean,
it's bouncing light, though.
Yeah.
There you go.
Based on
speed
light.
of light.
Right.
Yeah, and electricity is pretty fast as well.
Right.
Yeah. So if my voice can reach you instantaneously 5,000 miles away, why can't the sun whiz back round to the other side? Just as quick.
It can.
Why not?
Especially because if you think about it, the international date line, which is where one day turns into the next day, it's in the middle of no fucking where. So who's going to be there to watch it, right? It's going to be there, and it's just going to be there. I mean, I don't even think it would be missing long enough for there to be a glitch in the matrix, so to speak. Okay.
I agree. I totally agree. It's so perfect. I mean, it's got to be really difficult to capture.
I mean, really, to tell you the truth, the clues are just everywhere. And for people to not be able to grip that, but when we say it, right, then it's bogus and we're clowns. But when they make entire movies about something, then if we say anything about that, then we're clowns, because you're not really going to use movie lore, are you? You know? And so this is an individual by individual awakening, and no one's ever going to convince me otherwise. This is not a movement, and this is not a community. This is an individual by individual awakening, where as each person comes to grips with this information, they have to decide on it based on their own history, background, experiences, life's lessons, research, all of it. What of it makes sense and what of it doesn't. And you know, last night when I was hanging out with my fine research friends, the girls, the ladies were saying that Cirrus is what he goes by, but his name is actually Demeter, or however you say that name in Holland. That he was a genius and that he has 150 IQ. And I know certainly I don't have 150 IQ. I don't even know what that represents because I've never actually had my IQ tested. But, you know, for him, the same information coming into his head with this high IQ versus the same information coming into my head, I'm going to understand certain parts of it and he's going to understand other parts of it, right? And maybe the first time you hear something, you don't understand it at all, and your eyes roll back in your head to where you can see your brain. But if you watch it 5 or 10 times, or listen to it multiple times, or reread it, then suddenly it clicks and it makes some sense, or it doesn't. But in most cases, it's sooner or later will.
Well,
you know, isn't that how you process, John?
Well, you know, yeah, you know, I take things a little at a time, and, you know, I try to focus on, you know, the basic properties or the basic nature of, like, certain things, you know, the predictability of what we can observe. You know, the nature of the heavens, it's a bunch of gears, but they're invisible. You know, we see, like, these, maybe, I don't know, all the points in the corners of, you know, which is a starlight, I don't know, of all these, like, invisible gears that are going through the sky. Whether they are physically gears of sorts, it's still, you know, something that moves with the regularity of you know, a timed mechanism, you know, without fail. Does it need to be rejuvenated, refueled? Don't know, but I can at least say that it keeps showing up like clockwork. And so this is how I think of, you know, everything, but at least to understand things in, like, simple nature.
Okay, let me ask you something. As you're going through the process of making this model based on a map, okay, or it's not even a map, it's an illustration of a map. It doesn't contain any data at all. It's just a picture, okay? When I ask you for things like, do you have a problem with the Coriolis effect on this map? Or can we just go back and say the Coriolis effect is bullshit in and of itself, and it's not going to make any sense on any map? These are the kinds of debunking things that have annoyed the crap out of me since I got involved in Flat Earth. I know the world's flat, but then you know, each individual area of expertise that has cropped up, you know, along the path. This person's a pilot. They have these observations. They're going to throw this little monkey wrench in there. And then this person is you know what I'm saying? What do you think about how does something like the Coriolis effect even matter?
Well, first of all, IQs aside, I think that nothing really is, like, beyond most people's grasp. You know, we're not experts on anything. You know, maybe some of us are. Sure, we all have our expertise, all our niche expertise based on our experiences. But we can all research and learn something and go, oh, well, you know, whether we want to bicker about the data of Wikipedia, or let's say if we want to bicker about a high concept that's like brought out in like some movie like The Matrix or other science fiction, you know, almost like the data or, you know, the actuality of what it or might be or is, it's the idea that it stimulates the brain and stimulates the brain to think about something that it didn't normally necessarily think about. You know, and we're breaching really high concepts now when we're talking about 4D space. And, you know, so we're researching. We're all looking into this. My data, when I do consider the idea of data, I think it's going to take me to get the correct data, or what I think is correct, or what we all agree on. We're going to go with these numbers from this group, you know, or let's say it's been verified through something else. Up till now, I've used a variety of programs on the daily. You know, when I want to check something in the sky, I go to Sky Chart on my phone. It's kind of glitchy at times, but you know, I've also, you know, grew up with a program, not grew up with, but after the millennium, you want to say grew up after the millennium, Celestia. So I have an understanding of what is being portrayed. Whether we want to consider it true, pre-programmed, you know, stuff down our throat like, you know, geese, whatever. But the data of, I think Ronnie uses this word in one of his videos, using a sextant, something that can accurately detail an angle of something so that we can like triangulate through different positions on the Earth. So this way we can at least agree, okay, here's Mercury, and we all can agree this is where Mercury is, generally in this range, and Venus, and it does, you know, this general thing. And, you know, there are only 8, 9 planets, I mean, depending on, you know, whether you want to consider Pluto. So we can build some sort of model based on this map, or even a version of this map, an iteration of this map, whatever works best in regard to showing what happens on Earth as opposed to what happens above Earth. So there's a lot of potential. So far, everything's been fitting very well. But pretty soon we're going to have to start to rely on the data to start to build this, you know, sort of, I don't know, these string of notes above the Earth. Right,
right. Well, last night, for example, on the Hangout we were doing, Saris or Rochelle, and I can't remember who, so maybe both, said that they would know if they got bad data.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Would you notice that if you got bad data? Because it wouldn't fit with the other things. Like, which one of these things doesn't fit? You know, and you have a flower and a different kind of flower, and then you have a snake. The snake doesn't fit, right?
Right, and I mean, you know, there's visual observation first. You know, look on your phone and go, wait, no, that's not due east. That's not exactly accurate. Hold on, let me check my location. Okay, okay, that's fine. I am in the right location. And, you know, there's that. But there's also, you know, correlating with, you know, these other folks across the planet. And if you want to, they take that and then plot it on a specific map, or hell, plot it on a small, you know, range of maps, you know, just to see, well, does it plot out right here? Does it plot out right here? Okay. And, you know, when it definitely plots out on our version. Okay. And then I think, now, I don't know if that's how they're going by, but, you know, they have a good bullshit detector. That's great. I'm sure they.
Well, I think at this point, they are doing two things. They're collecting information, okay? And they're limiting the collection of information, the input of information from those that they have already decided they trust, okay?
Correct, yeah.
Trying to keep the bad data from entering into the mix to begin with, especially early on. And so, but going back to a thought that we were talking about earlier, you know, you said pretty much anybody can really grasp anything if it's explained to them right. I mean, everybody has their own way of learning. Okay. Some people learn by pressure. Some people learn by rote, repetitive methods. Others by visual or tactile or some other kind of thing. I know I have read articles about autistic children that, you know, have a hard time with an attention issue. Even people with ADD have attention issues that if you literally put something in their hand, centers them or grounds them, and it helps them to focus and pay attention. So, but I do want to bring this up. When I say anybody can learn anything or get involved in anything, learning, a big part of learning is how much you enjoy the information that you're trying to learn. Okay. If someone's trying to teach me math, I don't enjoy that. So I can't focus on it, and it's torturous. Okay. But if someone had my mom in the room next door, and if I didn't pay attention and get the information, they were going to like electroshock her or something and torture her, I guarantee you I would buckle down. I would double down and focus, right, to try to get it, especially if I had to answer a question that proves I got the information. So with regards to flat Earth, all of this information is fascinating to me. But every once in a while, Lawrence goes off in some area that I am not so interested in, but he is. And he'll say, oh, you got to look at this. Oh, you got to read this. Oh, you got to, you know, what do you think this means or whatever? And I'm just like, oh my God, snore. Okay. But because this is a collaborative effort, you know, between us, I bear down, and he does the same thing. Most of the time, if I'm talking about something he's not interested in, he just ignores me because you can hear him clicking on his computer. He's just doing something else and just being quiet. So the idea with this process is, you know, I may hound you a little bit by asking you questions because I have a process when I create. And I think making this model is a form of creation, meaning you take things that do not exist and make something out of them, which, okay, that's kind of what creation is. I mean, it's parts and pieces of stuff, and then you make it into something, which is kind of how I do a painting or a sculpture or whatever. So one of the things that you know, I want to encourage you to do when making this model is to try to make it to where a 6th grader or an 8th grader would be able to grasp it. I know that sounds kind of funny, you know, and you just laughed. So
that's exactly, no, I was actually going to say that. I'm listening to you talk and I'm going like, yeah, I just want to say to her that, like, I'm really just like thinking like a 6-year-old who's putting like the round block and the square block and go, no, that doesn't work. No, that works. That definitely works. I'm not crazy.
Bravo. Bravo. Okay. Well, because I've heard many times with regards to the things that Lawrence and I have been researching and talking about on these Hangouts, people comment and say, that's just over my head. Well, it really isn't over your head. It's just that you're not interested in it. And so
motivation.
And I believed that wholeheartedly because I experienced the same thing. You know, I mean, if my insurance agent's going to sit here and explain to me how, what do they call that when quants or something? And you know, when they're trying to decide it, like there's some formula for some chart. What the hell is it called?
Actuarial tables? Or?
Actuarial chart. Okay.
Yeah.
Based on the actuarial chart, and I'm just seeing rows of numbers like code, you know, like in the Matrix, and they don't mean anything. Okay. And I just want to go, can we not even use words like that? Can you just say, you know, out of 10 houses in 10 years, one burns down? That's the kind of actuarial information that I can wrap my mind around. You see what I'm saying? And if you told me that that house cost X dollars and the amount of insurance money that we get in covers that one house, and so that's what we base how much we charge people for, plus prop. Okay, you see what I'm saying? Then you can actually make some kind of sense. But so I don't mean to get off on a tangent, but
no, but it comes down to tables. It comes down to numbers. I mean, you know, if this is going to be like sellable, if the, you know, scientifically, you know, the numbers have to be right. You know, well, we've all heard Neil deGrasse Tyson say, it's like, you know, it's like we look up in the sky and we can tell if it's correct or not. And, you know, bullshit aside, he might, I'm sure they can tell, you know, what he's saying coming out the other end is a different story. But,
right.
But, you know, they're already watching, and especially like that video that you showed at the start where the guy's debunking the AE map. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's really what you've been talking about the whole time. I mean, and, you know, you can't go with something that doesn't, listen, I'll be the first one when, as soon as this doesn't work for me in my head, I'll be the first one to be like, I can't do any more work. I can't do it. But everything's just like, seriously, pieces in a puzzle are coming together. So what will happen by next week and the week after? Who knows?
Well, I mean, I got another one for you that you might find interesting. And let me play this for a second, because this is the same guy. So he's systematically going through and saying, you know, you guys got problems. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to pop my pee right there in front of the microphone, but let's take a listen at this.
Hi everybody, thanks for stopping by. I got a short video for you here on how sundials work and what they tell us about the flat Earth. Now this first one is a horizontal sundial, and it's really not obvious the logic behind it, how they determine what angle to put that piece on that casts the shadows, or how they position where the hours are. It's really not clear. This is a side view of the armillary sundial. To set it up, you just raise the arrow up from the horizontal to whatever your latitude is. Second, rotate it from the base so that it points north. Now it should be pointing at the North Star. The last thing is just make sure the sides are level, and you should be good to go. It's a wireframe model of the Earth. The arrow shaft, that's like the axis of the Earth, and the split ring is like the equator. The Earth rotates 15 degrees every hour, so the shadow of the arrow moves accordingly, and it tells the hours on the split ring. Note that the range starts from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. Now this view looks down the axis of the arrow shaft from the side with the head of the arrow. It shows all the critical components. The split ring has the hours on it, and it's concentric to the shaft. As the sun moves through the sky, the arrows shown here point in the direction of the shadows, from the shaft to the hours that are on the split ring. The hours are equally spaced, 15 degrees apart. The flat Earth model puts the sun on a plane parallel to the Earth, shown here as the yellow line. There are 4 times that are seen on sundials that conflict with that model. At 6 a.m. and 6 p.m., the sunlight enters the sundial parallel to this plane. Parallel lines don't intersect, so the sunlight can't be coming from a plane at 3,000 miles above the sundial. And the same problem at 5 a.m. and 7 p.m. The sunlight is pointing up at the plane. You know, that's like impossible. Where's the sun? Is it like below the Earth? It just can't work like this. In summer, the sun is high in the sky and enters the sundial from the north. In winter, the sun is lower in the sky and enters the sundial from the south. On the equinox, the sun stays on a flat plane. The edge is shown here as a black line. This photo, taken around 9 a.m. a few days after the equinox, around 10 years ago, shows the shadow from the top edge of the split ring coming to the center of the inside surface where you read the hours. On the equinox, this area was fully covered in shadow all day. This means that it was on the plane described in the previous photo. It never left that plane all day. So if the sun stays on this plane, it is also on a plane that's said to be 3,000 miles above the flat Earth, it has to be traveling on the intersection of those two planes, which is a straight line. To find this line, I drew an orange line from the east coast of the USA, where I live, to the equator on a flat Earth map. The yellow line, perpendicular to the orange, is the path that the sun takes, according to observations that I took with my sundial and the elevation of the sun as claimed by flat earthers. Now, does the sun travel in a straight line? Well, by flat earth logic, yes. This sketch shows where the flat earth sun would be 3 hours before noon when the earlier picture was taken. This puts it on the north side of the plane of the sundial, but the picture shows the sun coming in from the south side. So what is the flat earth explanation for this? I'm sure it's just going to be pure insanity. So what sundials tell us about the flat earth model is it doesn't hold water. When you try to align it to observed reality, it self-destructs. If the sun is on a plane that's 3,000 miles high, sundials couldn't possibly work. But sundials do work. What doesn't work is this ridiculous flat earth model. The more you examine it, the more ways it finds to fail. So.
Okay. So sadly, again, he's correct. And I hate to keep driving nails in a same coffin, but how else? It's done. I mean,
it's done.
And until the flat earth community catches up to this and stops ignoring these people with this sensible debunking of the map and the model, the earth is still flat. It still comes out to be flat. Okay, this guy doesn't believe it's flat because he's not looking at the other evidence, obviously. But the evidence that he is focusing on, I mean, I can show you one, and they're just getting more and more prevalent every day. Not just people out there screaming, globe trolls screaming, "You idiots! You're just kidding." The people from the truth community saying, "You bunch of cult members and blah blah. You're ruining the truth community." Yes, we've all heard all of that. This is not that kind of a guy. He's soft-spoken. He's well-spoken. He's making perfect sense. He's making the same sense that Lawrence makes, and I make, and you make, and Ronnie makes, and many, many other flat earthers who have abandoned the circle basis map. So the challenges have been made multiple times. So I don't want to put pressure on you, but you're the one with the challenge at hand to try to take the data, the map, the model, the information, and at least begin to make some kind of a sensible model out of it. And we can't fear, and I want to press this point to you. You can't fear being mocked or made fun of or debunked or whatever. I mean, if you're debunked, so be it. You keep moving forward. But if we don't ever try because we're afraid to be debunked, which is what's been holding a lot of people back for a very long time, because the AE model and MAP and Gleason's and Skiba making excuses for, and all kinds of other people trying to explain why it works, and just overlook this one thing and don't worry about how fast planes have to go in the southern hemiplane, and don't worry that the sun looks like it's moving around in a circle in the north, because it kind of looks like it's doing the same thing in the south if you really listen to people. Okay. But I commend you, and I just want to keep encouraging you. And if there's anybody else out there, I mean, look at the work that Free Energy's done, absolutely unconcerned about what anybody thinks or says or shows. Okay. So that's really my point in this conversation for more than anything.
Yeah, I don't put up anything that I don't like. You know, I mean, I don't put it up for anybody else. You know, I put up a lot of, anybody can look at my channel, put up a lot of crazy things, variety. That was how I first classified my channel. You know, science, nature, everything. There's even a guy who talks about the geometry of, you know, music that I got a chance to record one year. Which I might have to rewatch, because I mean, we're talking about wavelengths and frequencies and transposition and all, you know, the scales.
There's a reason why that happened.
Yeah.
Let me remind you. Yeah.
Right. You know, and also, you know, I also have like an odd question for Lawrence is, you know, what is his opinion of the idea of chakras? I mean, those are frequencies, even you, Lori, those are frequencies, vibrations. They're also classified in colors. You know, we only have, you know, 8 or 9 planets, and how many chakras are there? There's like, what, seven chakras? 7 or whatever, something like that.
Well, no, that sort of ties in with what my purpose in life was turned into when I got out of financial services, when that went tits up with the financial services crash, you know, and it's like, because people come to me with health problems, I don't charge them anything, and but I, you know, sometimes I get a full background from, and sometimes people are very angry, and when people are angry, that's a sign to me, for example, that they've got a problem with their liver, and the bile isn't flowing out, and it's trapped within the liver because they've got stones in the liver and the gallbladder. And if you think about the term bilious, it's anger. And basically, and so when people are angry, their liver's suboptimal. So when you sort the problem out with the liver, you release the anger. It's like when people have got fear, they've got problems with their kidneys, you know, and it's like emotions. When people say bad things to you, you know, and you hurt people's, same with the water and the moto. All these negative emotions, they collect in various parts of the body, and when you release those things, you get rid of the problem. So yeah, the chakras is there's bound to be a connection between that. I think all these planets up there, they have a direct bearing on our day-to-day living, and you know, when planets are in a certain position, you know, you're in a bad mood, and you don't know why, and the same with the moon. You know, the moon certainly affects women more than it does men. It's just one of those things. But yeah, I mean, just going back to the, you know, the old psyop in Flat Earth. I've got a little confession here, Laurie. You posted something the other day, and I thought it was that good that I decided to post it on all the sites of those people who I consider to be the gatekeepers to the truth, where they'd rather talk about drinking their own piss and encouraging other people to drink their own piss, even if it's only an eyedropper at a time. Or as one person said, you know, next time you have a shower, collect some piss between your hands and have a little taste. You should never know till you try it. Well, yeah, that's a great Flat Earth subject, isn't it? But, you know, this is what Laurie posted. I'm going to read it out because I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
I sent this to all the potato crew and the the other Buster's channel and whatever. And this is what Laurie said. She said I prefixed it with this, and I said, "Wake up to what's happened within flat Earth." Laurie Frary sums it up well. First of all, introduce a faulty model. Sell it to the incoming new flat earthers in a pretty 3D package. Make lots of videos supporting the false model with big name leaders. Get everyone indoctrinated and feeling like a community, a cult. Then introduce Globetrolls to destroy this model, which was always false, provably false. Leave the flat earthers knowing the earth is flat with no model to prove it with. Set them free in the world with the belief they can't explain properly or show to anyone without having to say, this is not how it really is, but then force a takeover of the entire narrative and have the said leaders mock anyone who breaks free of the cult ideology and labels them as shills, which is what they've done to us. And, I got comments back from loads of these people, but none of them attempted to debunk what I was saying or what you said. They just said I was out to cause trouble.
Oh my God, Lawrence. Well, that's exactly how I saw it. That was the synopsis of what I personally have witnessed over the last getting on close to 2 years now. So, I mean, I remember the whole beginning when there were 3 people who were the leaders of Flat Earth, and no one argued it at all. I mean, it just was, it was Sargent and Dubé and Power Boy, and which I now labeled the Sarge, Shill Boy, and Power Boy. But it took a very long time before people started to recognize that these people who were so-called leaders, and then more added a second tier and then a third tier, and the first tier supported the second tier so that each person's name grew in popularity and their videos were watched and they all, had hug fests and so on and so forth. But regardless of who's who, anyone who stepped outside the circle or colored outside the lines with regards to flat Earth information was mocked, shunned, debased, unfriended, kicked to the curb, thrown under the bus, whatever you want to call it. And am I surprised that you didn't get a whole bunch of people going, wow, that's brilliant? No, I'm not.
And the Flat Earth Derailment head office, because there will be a group of people working on this, not the people who've got YouTube channels. It'll probably be somebody else based in a basement somewhere in maybe Buffalo or somewhere in the United States probably. And they'll be on overtime tonight because they're going to have to watch our show and respond to it, because that's what they do. And when we put our last show out, we were debunking the Gleason map, and we were pointing out this place in Blackheath, Morden College. There was no modern college. And then 2 or 3 days later, somebody has wrote a book about the modern college, dated June, by an author who's not published any other works. He's not listed on. I went through every list of every conceivable author that was out there. This guy isn't listed, and there's a book out, and you've bought it, haven't you, Laurie? So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I have it on order.
But there is an operation out there to derail the flat Earth movement. You've got all the YouTubers. Some of them are just people that have been shepherded in by the let's call them handlers. There's flat Earth handlers, and their job is to, maybe they're giving part of a country or whole of a country or a sector of the flat Earth market, and their role is to shepherd them in under their wing to make sure they stick to the narrative, and make them feel important, and support them and send words of encouragement when they put out a crappy video saying it's fucking great when it's a pile of shite. That's what they're doing. And that's it. But there is a whole network of people. This is probably quite a big budget operation, because they're in business of actually going and changing all the digital records of old books and stuff to change them to fit what they want them to say to fit their objective. That's how big this is.
Well, tier by tier, everyone that came in, I mean, it really is a pyramid scheme, isn't it? It's the old Masonic pyramid scheme.
Yeah, let me show you something, guys. This just last week, prior to doing the hangout that we did, where Lawrence ripped apart all the errors on the Gleason's map. Okay, Morden College. Okay, let me make sure I'm screen sharing properly. Yes, present to everyone. All right. So a week ago, when Lawrence and I were up late at night, running down everything we could possibly find on modern college Blackheath, because that's what it says on the Gleason map. Okay. And you can see right here in my search, I have modern, not Morden, right? And everything underneath here comes up Morden College. See it? Okay. But if you put in, what was the other search we did, Lawrence? Wasn't
is that book? Just bring the book up by this geezer who's just been made up, and the book. I bet the book's just a page of total nonsense that's got nothing to do with, because there are no colleges in Blackheath called the Modern College. They don't. Okay. There isn't one.
So suddenly in June of this year, which is right about the time that Lawrence first brought this up about modern being the word spelled on the map, and that there actually was no modern college. It was called Morden. Okay. Suddenly now, Modern College Blackheath, brand new book, being the 10th monograph of the London Survey Committee by Thomas Frank Green. Am I still screen sharing the right thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So I just ordered this. It's $10.34. Well, so the idea is it's in this forgottenbooks.com category on Amazon or wherever. But so the idea is that they so-called take these forgotten books that are out of print and you can't find them anymore, and they suddenly decide to print them again. Okay. A week ago, swear straight up, you did not find this book. All right. And then suddenly, because it's needed, this book goes into print. So I ordered one, and I'm hoping within the next few days I will get it. I'm sure it's going to be one of the most boring books I've ever read in my life. But the idea is that it's called the Classic Reprint Series. Okay. But what I'm trying to say here is we do pretty exhaustive searches. We go down 20 and 30 pages in Google search when we search up something, and, not just the first page. And this was not there. A week later, it's there. So
yeah, I bet you the only place it says modern college is the front of the book. There won't be anything inside
it'll say Morden. Inside it will say Morden. Yes, I guarantee it. Or the whole thing has been reprinted with using the wrong word. But
and that is not a reprinted book, Laurie. That because there's no back issues of it. There's no earlier editions of it. It was printed in response to people pointing out that there wasn't a modern college in Blackheath.
But if I was going to mock people and I was going to start adding stuff to the internet to make sure that they found what they needed to find so that I could mock them, I guarantee you I would call it a forgottenbook.com. Don't even second guess that, because that's just perfect. And the whole idea is that then it turns around and makes people like me and Lawrence, who just did searches on it, look like we don't know what we're doing, because people did send me messages and say, what are you people, idiots? Do you not even know how to search properly? And all you got to do is put in modern college, and it only took me 45 seconds, and look what I found. And I'm like, this is the kind of thing that, okay, you ask yourself, is this a Mandela effect? Did this actually exist a week ago, but I just didn't see it? And I thought I saw modern, but I was actually seeing modern, but I was actually seeing modern? Or did they just change the freaking internet?
Have we all gone mad? What just happened? Yeah, no.
And you know what?
They're working overtime.
Okay. My brain's completely okay. Whatever it turns out to be, I'm okay with it, because I know what I saw, and my, I didn't get my memory erased between last week and this week. And if I am in the Matrix, good job. But let me just say, I saw the black cat, and I caught your little glitch there. Okay, boys, I got you. I see you.
Can't wait for that book, huh? That book's coming in the mail.
You. Yeah. Yeah. So I had to buy it. And you know what, it was interesting is when I went to order it on Amazon, I mean, I have my credit card, at Amazon to buy things, because I buy books often from my Kindle or whatever. And so I immediately got a message back that we're having trouble processing your order. And of course I'm going, sure you are, because now you don't really have the book. It's just actually only there virtually, because now you got to print one or something.
Oh my. It's on back order, just like the iPhone 7.
Right, exactly. So, again, I am undaunted. I know that there was no such place, just like Lawrence knows there was no such place as Modern College in Blackheath, England. It was Morden College then, and it's Morden College now. Okay. And when you go and search out Modern College, the new stuff that you find says Modern College because people are searching it. Okay. But when you actually get in there, you will find that it suddenly says Morden. And did you mean Morden? Or, yes, if I meant Morden, that's what I typed. So that's all part of how the organization of the PSYOP is built. And interestingly enough, the 3 top countries in the world that are highest trending for flat Earth is the United States and Canada. They go together. UK and Australia. Okay. These are 3 of the most westernized English-speaking countries anywhere. And so that's where the focus of the concentration of those playing PSYOP games are operating. And those countries have been known to ally many, many times, especially in times of war. And of course, they're allied in their efforts to subdue the flat Earth and also to control the narrative of flat Earth. I mean, after all, our own princess of flat Earth here in the United States has suddenly moved to the UK, where we're concentrating our efforts now on, putting everybody under one happy little umbrella. Unfortunately, it's not working. Sorry. But, and you're not doing it any service by introducing strangeness like pee drinking, but you go right ahead and do whatever it is you do, because we're going to go ahead and do whatever it is we do. And we're just blocking you out of our minds because you don't run the narrative of flat Earth anymore. And so this whole debunking of the circle maps and model has been a systematic approach by us, and you can call us the loyal opposition. And we're going to continue to do so. And, if it comes down to the point where we have to start inviting debunkers on here so that we can show you face to face in real time that these are real people out there showing you that, you know, whether or not they believe in flat Earth or not. I mean, we've all heard our Joe Rogans and whoever else making complete fun and mockery of anybody who thinks the Earth is flat. But these other people, I really want to know what their motivation is, what drives them to even waste their time or spend their time debunking flat Earth. I mean, have you thought about that, John? Have you thought about that, Lawrence? You know, that man spent a lot of time putting these videos together. I know what it takes.
Yeah, it's some people find themselves as the what is it? Something they said. Some Peter Joseph said. The people that are going to like decide what the standard is. Like they decided that they're the gatekeepers of the standard. So it's, you know, it can be a mix of people can be influenced. And, you know, as you say, you know, there's this whole trifecta of, you know, the States, the UK, and Australia. I mean, it's the media. It's, you know, there's the mainstream media, and then there's the backdoor media, like, you know, YouTube, which, you know, there's ways of controlling that, but there's also ways of getting around the control as well. You know, the perfect thing is like, you know, highlighting what's true versus what is fake or false. And,
right.
and when you show observation. So yeah.
And interestingly enough, the original flat Earth clues began the whole thing with putting out the narrative, okay? Because everyone now who is mocking flat Earth thinks that we have that we all support, all flat earthers support this AE circle map and model. Okay. They all think that we live, that we all think, they think, we think that we live under a dome. Okay. A Truman Show dome. Because how many times did we hear that? Repeat, repeat, rinse, repeat. And they think that we're so stupid that we believe that we have an ice wall around our entire little circle pizza pan. And if that offended you because you believe that, and you just heard me say that, and you get mad at me for saying it, you need to redirect your anger at the people who told you this without any investigation whatsoever. And then you need to get mad at yourself for accepting it without any investigation whatsoever. Because if you would have taken the time, just like we did, to go and look up, how can it be possible that there is a circle of ice all the way around this little circle pizza pan Earth with the sun going in a circle and the moon and all the circling happening? Okay. Do you know where that came from? That came from that bullshit model you see that the space people tell you about. Here's the sun, and here's the thing, and the stars, and the planets, and everybody's zipping through space and flying and vortexing and all that stuff. Okay, that's where this all came from, and it's one big ha 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 on you. Okay, and I got the ha 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 on me because I bought it. Lawrence bought it. John bought it. Ronnie, but we all bought it until we didn't buy it anymore, until we investigated it. So my next option, and it's kind of like, you know, you're going to make me do this, okay, is you're going to make me introduce, you know, invite flat Earth debunkers on this show, and we're going to explain why this model and this map don't work. And we're going to ask them, you know, if you kick all that out, okay, and we told you that this was happening instead, the sun and the moon and the stars are going in a straight line across this, you know, diamond-shaped map, and I'll even tell them about Pac-Man. I mean, that's how it works, right?
Why not? Right? Why not?
And then I'm going to say, now, take this and go debunk it.
That's perfect. You know, I mean, hey, we're all lucky. We're finding all these nuggets all over the place. You have to think that like there's like a percentage of the controllers that want us to solve this. You know,
Laurie,
there's.
I mean, bloody fantastic. If we can get that guy on who made those 3 short videos, sorry to interrupt you, John. If we can get that guy on, yeah, if he comes on the show. And,
John, have you
runs,
met Lawrence?
Yeah. How you doing,
Okay,
Lawrence?
go ahead, Lawrence.
all right, and then we tell him why we think the Earth is flat, and say, right, you take this information. Will you come back next week and tell us what you think? You know, we'll give him our version of it, and then he can come back, and then maybe he'll put a video out saying, I was wrong. You know, he's met us, and he's been put right, because the guy seems very level-headed and sensible, and
Sure.
you know, and he hasn't got any axe to grind. He just thinks it's a nonsense.
Well,
But
it
do you
is
remember
nonsense.
Do you remember back in 1979, Laurie, because this would have appealed to you? Do you remember a book
Bite me,
called
Lawrence.
Look,
Go ahead.
look, all right, well, we're about the same age, so you'll remember
Okay, go
1979.
ahead.
It's before your time, John. You probably weren't even born then.
No. You'd be surprised.
Okay, go ahead, Lawrence. I'm sorry.
There was this book that came out. So, you know, all these people now are chasing around after the Pokemon. Yeah. Well, there was a book that came out in 1979 called Masquerade. Do you remember it?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just going to do a little screen share, because
Okay.
this is leading on to something. All right. So I'm just going to share this with you. Okay. And this is the book called Masquerade. So this is just on Wiki. And it's a treasure hunt book from 1979. And basically, this guy, he made a jewel encrusted hair, and he buried it somewhere in Britain. And he said you had to buy the book, and all the clues are in the book. And if you worked out the clues to the book, you would find out where it was buried. Anyway, lots of people did it, but one guy sent a written thing saying where it was, but the guy who wrote the book realized he'd made a mistake, and ultimately the book was dug up by accident by some people out digging. But it was a fabulous book, and this was how the solution was, because it was like a series of paintings, illustrations, and on each painting a line must be drawn from each depicted character's left eye through the longest digit on its left hand and out through one of the letters on the page border. Then from the left eye through the longest digit on the left foot, the right eye through the longest digit on the right hand. You read all this yourself. Anyway, the message revealed Catherine's long finger overshadows Earth buried yellow amulet midday points the hour in light of equinox look you. So the meaning of these words and phrases were by close by Amptill. Properly interpreted, the message tells the reader that the treasure is buried near the cross-shaped monument to Catherine of Aragon in Amptill Park, at the precise spot touched by the tip of the monument's shadow at noon on the date of either the vernal or the autumn equinox. So that was a pretty fantastic book that came out, and it sold hundreds of thousands of copies all over the world, and people were, you know, yeah, it took a couple of years before anybody found it. Anyway, the moral of that is that Mark Sargent's brought out his flat Earth clues, and it wouldn't surprise me that where each of his episodes has got a truth, a real truth hidden in every clue. It's just a question of finding it. So we found one or two already, like the map or something that was close to the map, and Pac-Man in another one. So what's hidden in the rest of them? That because they like to hide the truth or give you the truth, because that's what they're obliged to do.
I have one. I actually have one.
Go, John.
Okay, I don't know what, this is not from any of his clues videos, but I do recall he had this was early on. This was after Mark had the Navy guy, the submarine guy, and then he had another guy who was doing something. He did one or two more shows after that, and he had a quick guest. He might have been a pilot or an amateur pilot or knew something about aviation. The guy was talking about a story his grandfather had from working in the Navy, being on ships in the Pacific, saying something about there's the huge Jacob's Ladder. There's something in the Pacific, and it's called Jacob's Ladder. And he said that we have to go all the way around it because we can't I will sift through
Oh my God.
the videos,
So
but
thrilling.
yeah,
I have heard this mentioned, John. I think that merits some investigation. So if you're watching,
absolutely. Yeah.
let's go and research Jacob's Ladder. In fact, there's actually a Jacob's Ladder on the Pennine Way, which is a long distance walk that I've done a couple of times in the UK, which goes over the backbone of England. So, you know, it's funny that, isn't it? Jacob's Ladder.
It's got several different connotations or meanings or perspectives. So I go where the connections are.
Well, you know, you can't throw out any information. You just have to keep it in file cabinets, and you have to keep all the drawers open in your head. And it's really confusing sometimes, and it's really hard for people with OCD.
Or easy, or very easy.
Or easy, depending on on your wiring and your program.
It's like a big jigsaw, and we're putting the pieces together, but the more you assemble, the more it comes alive, and you can see where the rest of the pieces fit. So, you know, we've used a bit of, you know, conventional information that's out there that has to be right because it's used daily with the longitude and latitude, etc. So we got, you know, and that map is accurate to within, you know, some of it's spot on, and it's within 5 or 10% for virtually every route there is. If we allow Pac-Man, which you have to, because not a single map will work without Pac-Man, because the map would be too big. It'd be 25,000 miles across on the equator on any map.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
actually explain that, Lawrence, why the whole circumnavigation thing has to work on a map like the diamond, because in order to make the map large enough for the continents and the oceans and everything else to be displayed properly for circumnavigation in a circular motion, the area of the map is larger than the globe.
Yeah.
Correct?
Well, the Gleason is, yeah, it's 2.5 times larger.
Well, the AE would be too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Any map will be, you know. Well, it will have one dimension. It will have a dimension from one side to the other, which is further, you know, the two places on the absolute boundaries of any flat map will be beyond 12,500 miles, which means that there has to be a Pac-Man feature to enable the shortcuts. It's as simple as that.
Well, also maps like the Mercator map also have too much area for the long rectangular square maps have too much area also. I mean, that's the one where, see, people get caught up in this mythology of other inputted information from a long time ago, like Admiral Byrd saying, oh, and the area that we discovered on Antarctica is so huge that it, you know, it's like bigger than the United States over again, and blah, blah. And you're like, no, it's not. I mean, show me. I mean, we already know all the plotted out places on Antarctica that we know about. Okay. Because I mean, since the treaty, people have been trekking all over Antarctica for, you know, quite some time. And all of the land has been divided up, just like all the land on Earth has. I mean, there is no free land anymore. There's not even a dot of an island that isn't owned by someone. And, you know, every piece of property everywhere has been plotted, platted, and taxed. So that means it's under some county by some state or some country everywhere in the world. So for anybody to say there's hidden land, that's still a possibility, but it is not hidden within the realm that we already know of. Okay. It would have to be outside of the boundary of what we have shown on the diamond map or any map. And so anybody that thinks they can find the secret hidden world, the secret hidden land, please direct us to the, you know, area where you think it might be hidden, because there isn't any. There's no hidden place like Ayn Rand wrote about in Atlas Shrugged either. Every single piece of land in the United States and every country has been plotted. right?
And taxed. Yeah, yeah.
And
It's
taxed.
all incorporated. Yeah,
John,
that's the idea. Yes.
John, you mentioned something the other day which I found quite fascinating, which was that if you take E for east,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
you turn the
Yeah,
E on its side, it becomes a W, and you take the S and you turn the S on its side, and it becomes an N. You
yeah,
know, it has the same shape. So
yeah.
there's probably some clue there in that. Is that purely by accident?
Right? I mean, they seem quite interchangeable both ways. That's it's fascinating. You know, I always look at like numbers and letters that are like inverse or equal opposites. Like, you know, a 2 is a 5 is a 2. So there's something about reciprocation. There's something about, you know, keeping balance, perhaps, because the Earth is it's in dynamic equilibrium. It's balanced. It's balanced, and there's something balancing it from these 2 points. There's something balancing it from those 2 points. Because you notice there's no diagonals on the map. It's only just latitude and longitude. There's never a diagonal on any map. Even the plane routes, really, they're like arcing routes. I mean, when you really think about it in terms of globular thinking, but you know, it's never a straight line path.
Why do you think they do that, John? Why do you think they do those great circuit routes? I mean, it obviously is wasting gas, jet fuel, and taking time to go the few extra miles it appears that they're going with these great circle routes.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, whether by boat or by air, you know, we're considered souls. We take a train or a car ride, you know, we're just passengers in a vehicle. But there's something perhaps that's either connected to maybe 4D space, the fact that, you know, we're souls. We're not really people when we're flying. We're not really people when we're on a boat. What is that? Is there something to it?
I agree. That whole admiralty law thing, you know, you go into the courtroom and they all rise and they, you know, that's supposed to signify that we are actually, that's our straw man, our dead man, and that we are the live living person. And then there's, you know, I mean, there's just so many water feature, you know, related things about our court system, our law, our, you know, actually, when you go inside the rail, every courtroom has either an imaginary or a real rail. Okay. And the people in the courtroom who are not sworn people of the court, officers of the court, cannot go beyond before the rail unless called. Okay. Unless summoned. And, you know, it's just all of this hoi polloi about how that whole thing works. And it is as if when you walk inside the courtroom and you go inside the rail, you are on a ship and you are at sea.
That's a good one.
John,
wow.
John, can I ask you a question, John?
Sure.
What are your navigation skills like?
Well, I was a Boy Scout, and I didn't get to make Eagle Scout. I made Life Scout because I turned 18. So but
John,
I've done. I know a great deal about compass readings and orienteering.
Well, that is fabulous, John. I'm so pleased to hear that, mate. Because what I'd like you to do right now is I want you to do the navigation test that we've done before. You probably missed that show, so I'm going to share the screen and ask you to do a navigation test.
I know this test. Wait a second. I can do this easily. I have a tool.
I
have a tool.
Okay. That's awesome.
Just a minute.
It's easy. They're all east and south and west and.
Just a minute. I'm screen sharing. Right, here we go. So here we go. We've got an AE map.
So you have to play.
You're going to travel. I want you to travel from the tip of South America up to these islands up near Malaysia and Indonesia and that neck of the woods. So I'll draw a line in the direction that you send me. So we're starting off from the tip of South America, which way would you like to set off to start with?
Which can I
You've
go?
got to go via the North Pole because that is the shortest route, mate.
Oh, sure. Okay. Well,
So
wow.
which way you
Well,
head?
I guess that's north, or I'll
North.
go. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so going north, yeah. Okay. You want to go north all the way up to the North Pole?
I don't think so. It's pretty cold up there, but
Well, that's the shortest route, mate. You're flying
yeah.
over it anyway.
Oh,
All
fine.
right.
Let's go. Let's do
Okay.
it.
All right. So you've reached the North Pole. Okay. Now, unfortunately, your compass is spinning around all over around here, and now you need to travel from there to these islands up
Yeah.
there. So you've got your map and your compass. Which direction are you going to go now?
I guess I'm going south. I mean,
South.
yeah.
Is that way?
No. Yeah.
No, that's south, isn't it? What about that way?
No. Gee, I don't know which way of south to go. They're all
Oh,
south.
so
Oh
they're
no.
all south. So, but you're there, and you've got to get home because that's where you live. So, which way are you going to go?
You
Oh
gotta
my God!
pick a
How do I
south,
get
man.
home? I gotta pick a south
How'd you
and
get
stick
out of
with
there?
it.
How'd you get out?
I go south in any direction until I recognize something familiar. I just hope I don't go in that one blue part. That's all I hope.
Well, if you go that way,
I'll fly south where there's land. I'll follow land, whatever it
there is a
is.
solution to it. You know, Laurie, would you like to have a go, Laurie? I found a solution to this. Do you
Oh,
want to
you
have a go,
did?
Laurie?
Oh, do I get
Yeah.
to carry this circle map around with me?
Yeah, you've got the map.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you scroll? Can you scroll the map down to where I can see the island I'm going to? Yeah, a little
That's where
bit
you're
more.
going.
Little bit more.
Down more. Yeah.
Down more.
Laurie's played this
Okay.
game already.
Yeah.
I want to go. I want to go to 5 south.
5 south.
5 south.
Oh right. No, you're not
Yeah,
that. Well, no, you've got to use your
5 o'clock south.
you've got to use your compass.
Oh, darn. Okay,
Yeah.
I want to go to the anti-north.
Which is south.
Okay, I want to go. Gosh, how else could I
Let's
say it?
assume you've got to the North Pole.
Okay.
How are you going to find your way from there to anywhere?
I'm gonna keep going straight.
You're going to keep going straight.
Yeah, the way I came, I'm gonna keep going straight.
Yeah, but you have to use your compass.
Okay. Oh, south.
You need to use your compass all the way to make sure you're going the right way. So you've reached the North Pole. Which way are you going?
South.
Well, that south is every
I'm
direction.
gonna go the opposite of the south I came from.
No, because you have to use your compass.
Oh, that's right. My compass was all spinning around, and now it's lost the direction it came from because
yeah,
now
you got to the North Pole.
I don't
right.
know where I
Everywhere
am.
is south.
It's
Everywhere
like
is south.
It's like somebody did that, blindfold you and spin you around a whole bunch of times, and now you got to decide which way you're going to go. Lawrence, I'm lost. I'm stuck at the North Pole. I'm freezing.
Yeah.
I went out.
There is a solution to it.
Okay.
But what you'd have to do is this. You'd have to follow the ice wall, keep going round.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Circumnavigate.
Follow the ice wall round until you got to the,
Okay.
so directly above where you want to go.
And then
you'd head south.
Then what does your compass say when you're there?
I'm just following. I'm just following the ice wall, and then I just go south from there, and I've done it.
Oh, excellent! How many miles did you go, Lawrence?
Huh?
How many miles
There's
did
the
you
route.
go?
Oh, I did about 40,000 miles, probably. Something like that.
But you made it home, and that's all that really matters.
That's all that matters, because this is the world we live in. Well, Mark Sargent thinks he lives there, and Jaren, he still loves this map, and Bob, he's got a map that's just like it with the North Pole in the centre.
Did you run into the dome anywhere along the way, Lawrence?
Say
Not the dome, no.
Because, you know,
No,
that's how video games work. You know, if you hit the edge, if you hit the side, then, you know, boom, then you bounce back, and that's another way. Stop screen sharing, Lawrence.
I'm trying to turn it off. There we are. It's off now, isn't it?
Okay.
So you see how impossible that map is.
It's really, really sad. And, you know, when...
Hey, Laurie, wouldn't it be fun if we had Jaren on the show and ask him to do it?
Well, I'm hoping that between now and the next time he has to try to defend this map and model. Of course, you know, every time somebody says something about Jaren and the map and model, of course, he has to whine like a little girl and say, I never defended it. I never said this was, I believe this map and model. I never said, okay, well, good. Then that means, what was it the guy said in the Matrix? He said, either you're with them, you're either with us or you're with the agents, right?
Yeah,
I think he
agents.
said some people just don't want to be unplugged.
Yeah, well,
and that's basically it with the flat Earth cults, which is all these potato groups. You know, the ones in Britain, they are a big cult, and they're associated with the likes of, you know, Globebusters and David Weiss and ODD. And Russian Vids and all these other ones, they're all singing from the same head sheet. And what's his name, Rob Skiba, that other guy, that Zen Garcia, he's brought out a new book about the fucking dome, which he's been advertising.
Oh, I mean, listen, the dome is a living, breathing entity at this point. It not only exists, I'm sure that it has a social security number by now. Yeah. Because I mean, the dome, well, I mean, you can see that, how I feel about it. I mean, let me turn my camera off, and what do you see? I mean, hello, say the dome one more time. I dare you, right? That's how sure I am. There's no dome. And, you know, is there a surrounding? Is there a perimeter? Is there, you know, something holding everything in? I mean, that just stands to reason. But what it is completely undefined. And I'm not sure that we ever could define it. But I think we'll be able to, at some point, define its properties. And because we know that certain things happen. You know, we know where the sun comes from, and we know where it goes from any location on Earth. Now, whether we visibly see the same thing from point A, point B, point 22, we don't know. We haven't gathered that information yet. And that should be our biggest challenge. As a matter of fact, instead of doing freaking balloon launches and wasting money on you know, how much has a Power Boy raised toward taking an Antarctica trip so far? Does anybody know?
I don't know.
Well, the idea is it doesn't cost anything to gather the data that we need to show at any given location. I mean, for crying out loud, on Facebook alone, in a group like what's that Romanian group, has close to 9,000 members. There's a page, a Bible flat earth page of some kind, that has 2,500 likes on it. It's not a group, but it's a like page. No, 25,000. I'm sorry, 25,000. Flat Earth Conspiracy Facebook group has over 3,000 members that are all bona fide flat earthers. Well, I mean, maybe a troll or two snuck in there, but you know what I mean. And so if you just add up those people from as many different countries, I mean, that group has people from Indonesia, from Thailand, from all the European countries, all of the North American and South America, several South American countries. I mean, we got Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. We got it covered if everybody would just collect the data, and then report. What do you see? What the hell's going on where you are? And you know, we should be able to accomplish some kind of visualization out of all that. Don't you think, John?
I would say within the year. I mean, wouldn't you say we're heading towards a fifth wave flat Earth right about now?
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you, I've deleted a lot of subscriptions to a lot of flat Earth channels. It's kind of gotten depressing. There's only like a few lingering. So, but I'm just not, you know.
I think if everybody was gathering sun and moon data all over the world, I think what that would prove that aside from the equator, when people see the sun during the day, and you know, obviously you only see it during the day, they're not seeing the sun where it is. They're seeing the sun where it's projected or reflected from. So I don't think it's going to be possible to construct a map from sun readings because, you know, the sun isn't where people think it is. It's not within. It's without.
We can construct a celestial map of the sun, the ecliptic of its path.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's why I keep doing it from top down, because I mean, you know, we see it from underneath, but it's doing something, and to visualize it from top down, you know, forget about skewing the angle to see like any sort of semblance of 3D. But just seeing it top down, like you're watching the screen and what's going by, like a ticker. That's like real simple.
Yeah.
If you want to go sixth grade.
Yeah. Well, and all you really need, you know, all the people need to gather is simple stuff like this. Just if you only chose the sun, okay?
Yeah.
And you went out and observed the sun on a given day. If everybody did the same day, okay, which they've done this before, but they've only done it in like UK location. They didn't do it actually everywhere at the same time, okay? And that's where they think they came up with the sun. Oh yeah, it goes in a circle, okay. If everybody did the same date, the same time of day, okay? In other words, your time of day and my time of day are different, okay? So if I did 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. or 7 a.m., God help me. And Lawrence did the same time, okay? You know, on the same day, in the different location, you name your location, you name your time, your day, and the angle of the direction degree that you're observing, and what direction you're facing. I mean, how hard can that be? You would be able to plot what the sun is doing. But here's what's interesting. I think they're showing us every bit of that on timeanddate.com, on SunCalc, on Stellarium, on all of these things. It's just who is going about sort of making, checking it against the model. Who's doing that?
Well, I mean, if you look at it only from one perspective of thinking of the Earth as a globe, you're only going to it doesn't make sense, or it doesn't even enter your mind. I agree with what you say about time and date, and I have not used Stellarium, so I can't ever say anything about that until I use it. But I mean, I feel that we're getting correct data, but you know, it's being presented from that specific perspective they want us to keep visualizing or keep imagining.
Right. Just like timeanddate.com uses a Mercator map, okay?
Correct, yeah.
And so we see this big square and we go, well, it's not really a square because we know it's a globe, or we know it's a circle, or whoever it is that is looking at it, observing it. See what I'm saying about Lawrence clicking? Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
I was bringing up a video to watch.
The continuous clicking. Okay. So if you're easily distracted like I am, I mean, I have world-class ADD. like times 10 from even most people, and no drugs. So, okay. So, timeanddate.com. Okay. Number one, they show us the light path, right? They show us the dark area, and then they show us the light area. And sometimes it goes ooh, like that. And sometimes it's a little square in the middle. And it depends on where you're looking at it and from what time of day and where you're located, or, you know, because it's based on a lot of these are based on it already knows where you're signing in from, right? It's asking you, can we use your location? Of course, I always say no, which kind of sucks because, you know, it would be better. So I know it already knows my location, but I'm not going to give it permission to use it. Sorry. So anyway, so they're showing us what's happening. All right. But automatically, when I first got into the flat earth community, and everybody, if you said something about time and date, people were like, no, you can't use that. That's tainted data. We don't know. That's from the government. It's like, no, it's actually not from the government. I mean, I'm sure the government is supplying some, or the government run non-governmental organizations, otherwise known as NGOs, are supplying the information. But so now we're not, oh, it's skewed. We're not allowed to use it. Okay, well, let's go look at some live feed videos from some Antarctica base. No, you can't use that. That's government supplied. Well, actually, no, these are more NGOs. These are, you know, each country has different, maybe you believe one from one country, but not another one. I don't know, but all of them, I mean, they all got together and they sat in a little room and they did a focus group, and they go, okay, now if we do this and we tell them that, then they will never figure it out because it will all be just a little bit wrong. Okay. This is the kind of stuff that you have to deal with all the time. And so if we can't use this and we can't use that, well, why don't we just tie our hands behind our back, duct tape our mouths, wrap ourselves in cellophane, and then maybe we can figure it all out in a vacuum.
Well, you know, I'm a design major, and I was always told when you're doing a three-dimensional drawing, an actual drafting with pencils to render everything, make it look three-dimensional with light source and perspective, orthographic projection, all that. Right. And this was, when it came down to it, this is what our instructor said. He basically said, okay, you know, you might have to like fudge some, you know, angles here. You might have to, you know, just sort of corner that off because you didn't draw it. It didn't meet up right. But generally, this is what it is. His name is Tom David. I'll say his name. Great guy.
Like that?
Yeah. And he said, it comes down to this. If it looks good, it's good. If it looks good, it works. It's good.
Exactly.
So,
and that's what we've been taught about everything, about all of our lives, right? From the time we walked into the classroom when we were 5 or 6 years old. And, you know, one of the first things we're introduced is the globe. And then this, you know, the planets and the stars and all this information. And it's completely and utterly spoon-fed, okay? And you don't get to question any of it. And then you go through your entire schooling educational process with that same process of spoon feeding. And so how many flat earthers do you know where you say something, some research you've found or a video or a supposition that you're making, and they'll go, link me. Look that shit up on your own, you lazy scum. I mean, come on. Wouldn't you want to find this on your own? I'll give you a link, but you know what? You're just going to end up with the same exact information that I have. I want your own independent idea about this information. So if you go find what you would find, you might find something different than I did. So, and that's good, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Look at the weird shit Lawrence finds.
Yeah. Well,
I wouldn't find shit he finds.
Yeah. Anyway, I've been saying for some time that I've yet to see the sun complete a 360 or appear to complete a 360 where the sun's visible all the time and it arrives back at its starting point, so you can see where it started and where it's finished. Well, I did find one, and I'd like your comments on it. I'm just going to show this now. And John, I'd like your comments too.
Sure.
As to tell me what you think you're seeing here. I'll put the sound. I don't know when it's going to play or not.
So this is Arctic. Okay. May present you for one
Look
thing.
where it's starting. Look at this rock at the top with the black on it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a fisheye lens.
Yeah, it is a fisheye. Yeah.
Obviously.
But it doesn't matter. There is a fisheye lens because it
Will you click
returns
that?
to where it is.
Will you click that stupid ad off, please? Thank you. Oh, suddenly it got dark. Arctic midnight sun, Polish polar station, horn
You've got your
sun,
timestamp at the bottom. Yeah, you've got your 24 hours at the bottom. I'm going to play
Spitsbergen,
it again when it's gone round so you can see for yourself.
77 degrees north. Fugelberget, April 25th, 26th, 2015. Okay. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah.
So anyway,
yeah.
it's gone all the way around.
Uh-huh.
You look at this is the starting point. So you've got this pointed rock with a bit of black on it. And if you look at the bottom, you've got the timestamp running. About 11 o'clock in the morning. Back, it's 11 o'clock in the morning again. Oops.
Yeah, I actually looked at this video a few times.
Talk while it's going around again.
Yeah, well, I noticed that it does a high arc for, about just a few hours from like it goes about like, 4 o'clock, it dips down to the horizon, about that time. Yeah, it's about 16. Okay, so a little bit.
5 o'clock.
Yeah, 5 or 6, yeah, right. Yeah.
So midnight, it's at its lowest point.
Okay.
There we are, it's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Okay, so this is the midnight sun right now.
Yep. A little obscure.
This is the Polish Polar Research Station in Hornsund. I think it's in Norway.
Okay.
There you are, and you can see this mountain at the top, this hill at the top with the black bit on. That's where it started from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so it never left the horizon.
Okay, first of all, that is some amazing time-lapse footage. That's like a complete 24 hours. That's, first of all, that's amazing.
Right.
What I've seen.
Yeah.
For that cold of a location too, also.
Well, yeah, I mean,
How do you even get cameras to work in that cold?
Where is it? And it's tracking fairly well. That's the other thing. I mean, it's tracking dead on with the sun. So I was just curious. I'd just be curious as to how they accomplish their footage.
Well, what they do, right, is the tripod is designed to every so many seconds click to turn its location, okay, and take a shot. And so obviously somebody's not manning that. It's automated. All right.
That's pretty good with the cloud cover, though. I just like to say, I mean, if it is done that way, the cloud cover seems seamless and rolling.
I know it does. Yeah. So if it's fake, it's really good.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Really, really good. And so, this is why I totally understand why people say the sun circles around us. Okay. It circles around the North Pole. But that same kind of footage, nothing quite that perfect, I guess, has been seen from Antarctica. But I'm under the understanding the same thing happens there. So if that's the case, it's an if then, the two poles and the machinations of the sun, it isn't about the fact that it's going in a circle. It's about that it's not going below the horizon. Okay. And so we don't know. This is another one of those things where it's like you don't have a term for it. You know, we don't know what the walls are like there. Okay. We don't know what it's reflecting off of. We don't know what it's shining through. We don't know where it is in relation to the observer. Okay. And so
it does look like it's going far away, though. It does look like it's going very far away.
It does look like it's going distant. Yes.
Because it to me, it seems like it generally keeps along the horizon. And then right before, you know, that 10 o'clock or whatever time it is in the morning, it starts rising very, very swiftly. Then it, you know, sort of like hangs a long arc. You know, then it generally comes back down again. Now, I mean, I could be misstating that what I'm seeing. Again, I don't know what the locations for east or west are. If I knew where the international date line was in relation to that rotation of the camera, then, you know, I might have more to say. You know, but there are ways of figuring that out. But it's really good quality. The only time it's got terrible quality is when there's some moisture on the lens housing, but it looks pretty good.
Yeah, and you know what's going to happen? We're going to get the circle flat earthers, you know, criticizing us now for showing that. But you know, we're open source, and we know it's a straight line sun. It's just appearing to go around in a circle.
Okay,
you know,
I'm going to share something for a minute, and I want to talk about this. Okay, you see this diamond map, right? Where's Poland? Is it like right about in here?
Yeah, around about there. Yeah.
Okay, and so if this is being shown in Poland, all right.
No, it's north of there. It's going to be towards the top of Norway.
Okay. Thank you. Perfect. Because this is where we believe this location right about here and this location right about here are where the portals are.
Well, you notice there's no more lines of latitude.
Yeah.
From the circle, that's it.
This does up here doesn't actually track anywhere. No one's tracking it. As a matter of fact, if you go on Google Earth and you zoom out from the land and to where you see the globe, and then you circle around the top of the globe, they will not let you look straight down on the top, and they will not let you look straight down on the bottom. Okay. Correct. So anyway, if in fact the sun is portaling and Pac-Manning, which we get to say that because it's not democracy here, it's just our channel. Okay. If it goes out here and then comes back over here, while it's in front of you, I mean, these people cannot look south and see the sun. They got to be looking north, right? Isn't this got to be pointed to the north, this camera?
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Well, the camera was pivoting around, wasn't it?
Yeah. So if it's turning around, then at some point it's looking down, right? It's looking down.
Yeah. Well, that's
it's
why
going around in a circle. I mean, just how can it be?
Well, I would say that I'm going to take a guess, and I don't know, but I would say that just from the footage, without knowing any point of direction, I would say that when it's high in the sky, that's perhaps when the camera's looking south. Otherwise, it's sort of seeing it over the edge of the point of the north.
Yeah.
I would agree. It's highest in the sky when it's looking south.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Now, we've got the perfect symmetry between night and day in the respective summers and winters, north and south. So whatever's happening in the north is happening in the south. We just, obviously, because they're a lot more secretive in Antarctic for some reason, there isn't that much footage out there. But I've done the research proving that there are shadows cast in every which direction you can imagine from Casey Station, and I showed it on a hangout probably last Christmas. So the same is happening down there, but I haven't got a webcam where you can actually see the sun for the whole 24 hours because of where the camera at Casey is not pivoting around. It's in a fixed position, so you can only see it when it actually comes across, but you can see the shadows on the building and in the car park and on the people that walk across the car park. When you do the screen freezing, you can see the shadows are pointing in every which direction over 24 hours.
Yeah, I've noticed that too in some webcams when Ronnie and me were looking at some footage. You do see the rotation, but then you also see like sharp, long times that the shadow is in one direction, and it's either like gaining for a long, prolonged period, or it's just fixed at that long, prolonged period. And then it does it's weird rotation. That's the only way I'll say it. The odd rotations. Yeah.
Well, we've shown the video a couple times of a year. What is it? The guy that does the time lapse photography with the little watch right there in front of the camera. Year on the Ice guy. I can't remember his name. It seems like maybe it's Powell or something. And we've watched that, and people go, "Oh, that's faked." Again with the faked. Prove it's fake. Okay, show somebody that it's fake. I mean, the guy won an award. Yeah, they can hand out awards just like they hand out presidential elections, but at the same time, you gotta either debunk it on its own on face value. It doesn't matter who it came from. All right, and so whether the person won an award or it's just some person, but there are enough blogs, travelers blogs, where people literally go to Antarctica and blog about it. And they tell you all about their adventures and all the places they went and all the things they did. And they all talk about the midnight sun. And so you can't, I mean, unless there's a gigantic conspiracy to everybody when they enter Antarctica, that you have to sign a paper that says, I will talk about the midnight sun on my blog. Okay. I don't think that's happening.
I've got another one for you, Laurie. You'll just talk a bit for a minute, but I've got one from Antarctica showing 24 hours of daylight. It was on a cruise ship, and I found this the other day.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Well, let's play that one.
I've seen one where they look out one side of the ship and it's day, and they look out the other side of the ship and it's night.
It'll take me a while, but I'll find it in a minute.
Because the ship is going parallel with the coastline of Antarctica somehow. But again, here's another issue that nobody wants to talk about and everyone wants to call fake. Okay. You have the Aurora Borealis in the north, where, they call them the Northern Lights. And they definitely look like sheets of electrical energy playing off the clouds or whatever, the atmosphere, the cold and the warm hitting together. I don't know what causes it. I know what they say, but I don't know if I believe it. Okay. But the same thing. Hold on 1 second, Lawrence. You told me to talk. Now you can't cut me off in the middle of a sentence. The same thing occurs in the south. It's called the Aurora Borealis, Aurora Australis. And then the colors are a little different, and it's not quite as dramatic in the south, but it happens. Okay. Ta-da, yeah. Go Lawrence.
No, we can talk over this, but I'm just going to let it play, and we can talk while it's on. We can just see the visuals of the midnight sun off a cruise ship.
Okay. Oh boy, you go.
All
I'll
right.
present you.
I wasn't interrupting you. I'm just saying I was only very short.
I know. I can punk you now and then if I want. I mean, after all, we've been doing this for a year, right?
Offense to anything you say to me, Laurie.
I know, and I don't take offense to anything you say to me either, except for
Oh,
that
yeah.
one time when you said the C word.
December the 23rd.
Oh, I'm gonna make you put AdBlock Plus on your computer if it kills me. You
Hey,
have
guys.
to watch. It's a wonder you have any sanity. All the ads you watch.
I gotta leave, but I'm gonna hang out for this one thing that Lawrence wants to show. But then
Okay.
I gotta get out of here, just
Yeah.
to let you know ahead of time. Yeah.
All right, that's good. All I can say is
Thanks, John.
how much we appreciate your time, John.
We can't wait to see your model because
Where's it supposed to be, Lawrence? Can you tell me the location? Does it say anything in the description?
it said it at the start, but I can't remember.
Okay.
Well, you can see it's real. It's just that I've been on these cruise ships. I haven't been to Antarctic, but nearly all the big cruise ships have a webcam on. So,
Sure.
you know, it's just, you can see all the people on the ship coming
That's
and
for all
going.
that's for all the people like me who would be in their cabin puking their guts up from the rocking of the boat, but yet they get to watch the film of what the happy people are seeing out on the deck.
Well, no, if you'd be puking at the Bay of Biscay, but you won't be there. It's like a mill pond, isn't it?
Yeah, this is pretty smooth sailing, I'd say. But they are rocking back and forth a little bit, and it's making me a little seasick as we speak. Okay, so
just avoiding the bits of ice.
yeah, I guess those are kind of our little mini iceberg, perhaps. They have to try to avoid them.
And you can see the reflection of the sun in the water, can you not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Visible for 24 hours. Then the north is the same as the south in their respective winters and summers.
Right.
The sky and the sun in the water.
Yep.
That guy just straight on hit that ice on purpose. He's finally decided he can't avoid them all. Yeah, I mean, it's low in the sky, and it's do we know what time it is?
But it's not time stamped, but it's covering the
okay.
24 hours.
All right.
Oh, now he's turning around again. Okay.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, it's low in the sky, but it's people say that it's dark what, for months or weeks or something there in its respective winter.
Well, that's their summer.
Yeah, this is their summer. Because, I mean, the people out on the deck, they're not dressed for like serious freezing cold. And the camera is not, you know, all fogging up, freezing up or something. So.
Water looks quite black.
Yes, it does. What is that? What do you think that means? Just because there's not that much sunlight, or because it's deep?
I would. Well, I mean, if you've ever been to like a place in like the mountains or something where they like you have like a water hole, you know, like where they have like a rocky outcropping, you know, they're water holes. We have them upstate here or in New England, and you know the water is like so deep that like you know it's really cold and black, and you know it's kind of scary actually. I don't know how deep they go.
Like you don't want to jump in there because the Loch Ness, you know.
How many dead bodies in cars have they like put in there? Is the other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Laurie, because I mean, you know, on these cruise ships, because I've been on lots of cruises, not recently, but the typical cruise ship holds about 2,000 people.
Right.
All year round. So there's literally hundreds of thousands of people who have been to Antarctica and witnessed 24 hours of daylight.
Right.
And there's webcam footage on the ship, apparently.
Right.
Yeah, you can actually see. You can actually go and look at ships and see it in real time.
Well, this is wonderful news.
Cams on all the ships.
Oh, you mean like live webcams where you can pick a ship
You
and
can
go
go
see
and
what
look
they're
now, yeah.
seeing? Oh, so you can go on a virtual
Yeah.
cruise and not even have to go on the ship? How cool is that?
Fantastic. Thank you, Internet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hey, guys.
Well, maybe we
there's
should
a good pastime. Okay, John, we're going to let you sign off, and thank you for joining us again. And if you have time and want to join us on Wednesday, I will send you a link, because we're going to go ahead and do our regular thing on Wednesday at 6 p.m. and I'll send you a link. And if you choose to join us, I don't want to take up too much of your time. We would appreciate it.
No. It's always a pleasure. This is
Okay.
great. It's fun, and hopefully I'll have at least something to show for Wednesday. And yeah, I'll definitely pop in for a little bit. Absolutely.
Oh,
It's great.
Okay. All
Thanks,
right.
guys.
Well, thank you. Good night.
All right.
Cheers, John. Thanks for
All right,
joining
cheers.
us.
Appreciate it. See you
Bye,
soon.
mate. So there you go. There you have it.
Okay.
I can talk to you
So,
now.
very interesting. At least we know
There we go.
that.
The Mayor channel.
Yeah. Well, at least we know that, in reality, there's certain things you just can't ignore, and you can't blow it off, and you can't say it doesn't exist, and so on and so forth. And the more you gather this information, the more realistic your reality is going to be. Because before, you used to think that you lived on a spinning globe flying through the air and flying through space, and now you don't. Don't you want to actually know as much as you possibly can about the realm you live in, versus just ignoring things that you don't like or it doesn't fit your narrative or your idealism, whatever that may be? So, okay, well, Lawrence, we're rapidly approaching 3 hours, and I was only going to do this for a couple. So,
Okay, well, we've had a good chat.
thank you for staying up and staying with us, and joining us, actually, because I was just going to talk to John for a little while, and so I'm glad you got to jump in there, because it's always more interesting with you, Lawrence.
Yeah, well, we're back on Wednesday. I don't know what that has in store, but we might have something.
Well, no telling what you're going to dig up between now and then, but hopefully you stay down that rabbit trail you were in about the Pac-Man and the science and the space and non-space. Isn't that what he called it? Non-space?
Yeah.
That's where Pac-Man goes when he runs off the screen and comes back in on the other side. It's non-space.
Yeah.
And it has no time. Non-space has no time, right? There's no tick-tock. It's just wherever you go, there you are, and you can just move around very quickly without time. So maybe David Weiss would like that, because that's like super Mach speed.
Yeah.
Sorry, David, I couldn't help it. That was just too right there at my fingertips. So, okay, well, I'll see you on Wednesday, Lawrence, and everybody in chat and everybody viewing, live viewers, thank you for joining us, and hope maybe you learned something new, or we gave you a thought to look at something, research on your own. And in the meantime, we'll see you again Wednesday, and everybody have a peaceful week. See you later. Bye.
Yep. Bye, folks.